some information about crop production, fish production, before practical works. So, there is different indicators of productivity and monitoring points for the crops and for the fish. As you see, sometimes it's difficult. I take, for example, first the fishes. Sometimes there is this eventment. The fish is happy and the fish is hungry. It's dangerous if the fish is not sad but sick, like Mohammed. Because it will be very difficult if you have this stage with a long period for many days. It will be dangerous and it will be sometimes impossible to go back to this stage. I explain to you. Happy vegetables, very sad vegetables. Between the two cases, pest and happy auxiliaries. Okay, so we have some pictures on that and some explanation on that. So I think Marine this morning explained to you. So I go fastly. Explain to you macronutrients and micronutrients. I think you saw it before. So comparison I take from the work of Bitsansky and all last year. So in aquaponics and compared to hydroponics, Pierre talk about this. Very many papers in this thematics. Just have a look inside in aquaponics system with measured data. We are very low for nitrogen, 30 times less. Sorry. So you know that perfectly, I think. The same thing for macronutrients. I gave you, of course, a presentation. Oh, there is a mistake here. Sorry. You know also that in soil, hydroponics, and we are looking for the best value in aquaponics also. But when we compare hydroponics and soil in the fields, 5.5, 6.5, but look at the same study of pH in soil, between 6 to 7.5 or 6. What is the explication? That you have the translation of the value? Why in hydroponics the best pH is very low, and why in soil the plants can catch nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, copper, and you know? Yes. Always the community of microorganisms which are living in the soil. So like maybe aquaponics, okay? Oxydation, minéralisation. Voilà, toujours pareil. Always the same. So when you have crops in your greenhouse, you have to check, of course, different parameters. The weight of fruits, the weight of lettuce, but most of the times it's at the end of the crop production period. During the production period, you have to check the deficiencies. So it's not original plant, of course, because it has many problems on this plant, deficiencies with iron, manganese, potassium, phosphate, also magnesium and nitrogen. So for the practical work to analyze the greenhouse, you will have, Axel, si tu peux distribuer, faire le tour, the same pictures, of course. So, deficiencies of nitrogen, often you have weak and pale plant for old leaves. But excess of nitrogen, don't forget this, sometimes you could have excess of nitrogen if you have many fishes and few crops and a system very closed, large but fragile plants. And Pierre Foucard, on Monday, when he visits the greenhouse before his presentation, he is very surprised with the leaves of my lettuce. Very strong, very, comment on pourrait dire, red, quoi. Comment? Crispy. Mais not bad, mais voilà, comment on pourrait dire, croquante. Je ne sais pas comment on dit croquante. Crispy. His lettuce are very molle. Smooth, you know? And I know that he used a high ratio of feeding at a certain period of his program, and maybe it's an excess of nitrogen. We exchanged on this on Monday before the lunch. Okay? So deficiency of nitrogen is typically when you have a green vein and yellow into the leaves. Okay? But we have, you can have the same symptom for other macronutrients or micronutrients. So it's difficult sometimes to find the reason. So, for example, you have also the same deficiencies of phosphorus. We have some brown spots at the end of the leaves. It's important. It's scarce. It's not frequently to have excess of phosphorus in aquaponic units, but in hydroponics sometimes. And if you sow large roots and little leaves, maybe it's an excess of phosphorus. You have a little lettuce, for example, and a large roots. Okay? Deficiency of potassium, necrosis, and sometimes, you know, it's like fishes. If you have a problem with nutrients, the plant begins fragile, and she can have disease. Okay? It is more sensibility to pest and disease. Okay? Deficiency of calcium. Okay, necrosis on young leaf, excess of calcium, risk of unavailability between some macronutrients, magnesium, chlorosis, like iron also. Okay, sulfur, iron. In the beginning is on young leaves, and finally on total plant. You know, for example, excess of iron. If you have, if there is a mistake on the concentration of iron in your aquaponic units, you can have brown spots on the leaves. But maybe it's a fungus disease, because sometimes we have the same symptom between disease and a problem of chemical water quality. So disease. Oidium, you know that. Oidium also. Mildew, INAPRO project in Murcia. Murcia, INAPRO project. The right one, this one?
Yeah, that's not mildew. I think mildew would be the white one, isn't it?
Ah no, Oidium. White spot. you know, oidium. If you observe white spot on the leaves, and it's a fungus on the surface of the leaves. So if you take your fingers and you try to clean it, the fungus disappears. And mildew is inside the leaves. And
Deficiencies?
eh?
Fungus.
Yeah, but on the right picture, you think it's fungus? It's mildew?
Mildew is a fungus also.
But isn't mildew white as well? I think there's another illness of tomato which is brown. It's called like brown rotten disease, something like this in Germany. I think we call it like there's the word brown in it. And mildew is white.
No, mildew is brown also.
That's why it's called meal because it's.
Do you think, Daniel, about that?
Mildew is white.
I'm thinking of also the English word mildew.
Maybe.
Maybe it's. On peut chercher. Hein.
Because
I'm looking for the scientific name.
In this greenhouse, a lot of people were asking what is it, and there was several plant pathologists, and the conclusion that
mildew
was mildew.
But it's not on the
The director, the man, mildew. Alors,
blight. That's the illness in which I meant. Yeah. You get it on Solanum, or like night shadow plants.
Yeah.
And that's the one, actually, which is on this picture. I have pictures here.
What's the name? Light?
Blight.
mildew. J'arrive pas à trouver.
Mildew.
Mildew.
Yeah, no, it's on fruits it's brown, but on leaves it's kind of whitish, white stuff.
Ah. Bah, je sais pas, c'est ce qu'il nous avait dit là-bas, mais.
I don't know which plant specialist told me.
Yeah, but at the beginning, a small brown spot on the leaves.
Brown?
Oh yeah, so maybe it's
Phytos. Non, il n'y a pas de terre. What is the scientific name? Peronospora?
From the brown stuff? Where that's chicken.
Bon.
No, I check.
Very different mildew, you know?
Yeah.
Mildew on lettuce, mildew on. Tomate. Phytophthora infestans. Scientific name. Yeah. Phytophthora, sorry, I forget the T. Phytophthora infestans. Mildiou de la tomate. Bon, so, if you, yeah.
It's fungus.
Pest. So you have it's pictures from BioBest website or Coppert. I think it's BioBest website, and I focus on thrips, aphid, for example. It's common in greenhouse. And a little red speed. Okay. Some chenille, and also I don't know the name in English. Sorry, white fly. So we have some physical method for pest control. Insect-proof net, of course. I don't use mine in the greenhouse. Do you know why?
Because you have bees.
Because you have bees? Yes, the major reason. And in the beginning we use it, but there is a problem with temperature. Because our greenhouse is not enough long. So there is a bad exchange of air inside. So you know, our greenhouse is square, 20 meters large, 20 meters long. And it's not good for exchange of air. So we put off the net on the roof. And we don't use also the insect-proof net at the windows. And I prefer that insect, bad one and good one, go inside, and I'm looking for an ecosystem equilibrate, you know. But we use, when the flowers are finished, we use glue panel. Yellow, it's common for white fly, and blue one for thrips, for example. But thrips, you know, it's a very, very problem in some greenhouse. You know, Ariane Griset, the woman from CTIFL, from Nîmes City, which is who is here on Tuesday. They have many greenhouse, and all year long they have problem with thrips.
Do you actually think those yellow stuff is good for fighting them, or just for detection of species?
Just to catch them.
But it's actually preventing from the crops getting infected, or it has some effect, or is it just to know which species you have?
The both.
Yeah.
I
don't find them effective for our system, because we put like heaps of them and still plants were full of stuff.
It's when you use this one, they don't have, you know, lines to count the density. Some of them you put on the tables, or you like this.
Yeah, that's what we did.
Yeah, so you can read them. But it's for the both. So biopesticide, so a generic name that encompasses different pest control techniques. So I'm sorry because it's a catch picture, so it's in French. So microorganism, antibiotic from bacteria, pesticide, natural pesticide. Some chemical, but light chemical product, like soap, black soap. But you know, if there is a large invasion of some pests, it's difficult to regulate with soap. Nettle purine, but it's prohibited in France.
It's prohibited?
Yeah.
What?
Neem oil. Huile de Nîmes.
What? Why is it?
Cancérigène.
Of the trees. So
right? It's prohibited. I tried to buy. I can buy by internet. You know, I can find oil neem.
Yeah.
But in France, you don't have the possibility in public installation or private. If you have a control, it's dangerous. Yeah.
But
it's not.
Is it efficient?
It is efficient. Yeah.
Because
it's actually from a tree, and like
yeah.
you would probably know it. Like they take it, you can eat the seeds. You can take it against many illnesses as well, and it's really effective against some of those creatures. But they get resistant to it as well, so you have to spray it on a really regular basis.
Yeah.
And you won't have any traces after 24 hours. That's the base.
It's organic as well.
Yeah, it's organic.
But you know, in France, the legislation is different because I heard that it's maybe dangerous for human.
Yeah, I heard.
But people use it in Asia.
Yeah.
And you know, in France, we open always the umbrella.
Yeah, sure. But actually, it's a
use
really
for
ancient plant for they use it for food.
They use it as a toothpaste.
That's as well. Yeah, you can
it's
use
very common, but there is no regulation of disease.
Yeah, you can't let us.
So,
Yeah.
so nettle purine also, but you have to. So, you can use also flowers like tagetes and lemongrass and thyme, which can has the action of push-pull. I talk about this in a few slides. You can use natural insecticide, pyrethrin, for this kind of flowers, you know, like a marguerite in French. Huh? Pyrethrin. It's a natural product produced by these flowers. And we can find it in shops in France in biological methods. Okay? So, push-pull. I don't know if you know this this activity. We have some plants push pests. The pests so don't like these plants, but they like other plants. So you have to mix inside your greenhouse these two categories of plants. So the technique, the name of this technique is push-pull. Okay? So, for example, Tagette, lavender, basil, push, and capucine for aphid, for example. So we have organized, you know, a table with a lot of capucine in our greenhouse, and also for white fly. It's very cool to use eggplant. So you put some eggplant pots. You know, it's very easy and it's very operational with ornamental plants like Poinsettia. You know, this plant during winter or during autumn with red and white, red and green leaves. Poinsettia. No, you don't know the Latin name, scientific name. Poinsettia.
Poinsettia.
Yeah, Poinsettia. Yeah. And I have a partner in an important high school, agriculture high school in west of France. He has many square meters of greenhouse with ornamental plants, and he used many eggplants around, if I remember, 8 eggplant for one table, 12 meters long and 4 meters large. So around 50 square meters, he used between 6 to 8 eggplant. The whitefly live on the first leaves of the plant. So you have to wait. You observe many whitefly, and after that you cut these leaves and you burn it. But the plant continues its growth. Aubergine, ouais. Some companies who sell auxiliary of crop production, good insect. They don't like, if you are working with them, they don't like to have eggplants, for example, or capucine in the greenhouse, because they think with these plants you have always pests. So it's a different way, different practice, push-pull, maybe auxiliaries, as I explained to you.
Do you prefer the push-pull? Do you think it's better? Or?
I think my idea is in the greenhouse is in the beginning an artificial situation. Yeah. But it's not prohibited to conduce it with natural, you know, to increase the natural conditions inside and artificial conditions. Maybe we need to have a look always on natural ecosystem to study how it's functioning, and we have to try to copier-coller, cut and voilà, reproduce The same, it's my idea, but maybe it's a mistake. Eh? So, some examples of auxiliaries, like, you know ladybug, it's a larvae of ladybug. Chrysoperla carnea is very good for aphids, also. For example, Amblyseus swirsky, it's a little spid which is used to destroy thrips. So, just a focus on 3 auxiliaries. When you have a pest with thrips, so Trizanoptera, we can use 2 auxiliaries. So this little spid and this insect, Orius. The name in French is punaise. It's a species of punaise. I don't know the name in punaise, j'arrive pas à retrouver le nom. Quelqu'un peut regarder, est-ce que ça? Punaise en anglais, parce que j'ai pas pu traduire. For aphids, so you know them, Chrysoperla carnea, larvae, adults, ladybug, but the best one is a mix of 5 species of micro wasp. And the name of this product is Berry Protect. So if you are quiet, in a few minutes, you can try to protect my greenhouse. Because in the box, there is many auxiliaries which are waiting for you. So whitefly, Amblyseus swirsky, it's a different, okay? So other example?
Do you have at this time problem with pests in the greenhouse?
No, of course, not at all for the moment. It's just for you. I buy these auxiliaries, and I have the box today in the morning to show you. But you know, it's very expensive, but it's for the training period, and for you, to show you how we use it. And for the moment, no, I think we have a beginning of trips, maybe.
If they don't have nothing to eat?
Yeah, they die. In a few days they die, of course. It's difficult to manage these auxiliaries. It's, as Vincent said, if you have no pests, the auxiliaries have no food. But for the moment in France, there is many programs on horticulture facilities to study, the name in French is plant relais. So it's plant which can give food for auxiliaries if there is no prey, no pest to wait. And it's difficult to manage because you have always looking at an equilibrated situation because between pests and auxiliaries. In private company, they introduce auxiliaries every 2 weeks to maintain a stock density of auxiliaries alive and to protect the crops. For example, in this box there is live materials for €60. And last year, to protect the greenhouse, I pay between April to I stop in October. I pay €600 only, and we have around 150, 180 square meter of crops. You know, the problem is that you saw it in a few minutes. We can open it. the bottle, it's so bio-based, it's not coppert. Be careful. Shh. Attention. Be careful. So very protect is that. So I don't have to open now. Because
they're already alive, it's not just the eggs.
they are sleeping. No, they are in little, how can I say?
Cocoon.
Yes.
And against fourmi, fourmi?
Against fourmi?
Ants.
Ants?
Ants?
Do you have ants in your greenhouse? Or?
No, never.
It's not bad, ants.
But yes, it's bad because they take care of aphids.
Oui, take care of it, c'est ça. So you have fourmis, comment tu dis?
Ants.
Ants, because you have aphids.
And then it's
Yeah.
like a circle.
So you don't have, you have to destroy aphids, and you don't have fourmis. Ah si.
Okay.
Ah si.
And so aphids, I destroy with this.
Ah, on va voir là, hein, on va voir le truc.
Okay.
And the second one, like salt, mixed with vermiculite.
Okay.
Okay? So Ambliseus cucumeris is another species. And you know, with this bottle, it's for at least between 500 to 600 square meters. So it's large.
But you have to do this like, once every several times during your
Yes,
crop.
yes,
movements.
yeah.
Sure.
During each 3 weeks. It depends. You have to check.
But I think it's difficult with this kind of product because you have to be preventive, to do preventive action against all sort of pests. But you don't really know what kind of pest you will be affected by.
You have to recognize your pest.
Yes, but sometimes you have to do a preventive treatment.
Like that? Like what?
Preventive.
Not
Not to release in the environment.
It's just for an economic point of view, it's really expensive and because you don't know what kind of pest will affect you.
How avoid the arrival of trips? I don't know.
I'm going to give you the contact details. I have some friends working in plant sciences. They work with plant-insect interaction research, and basically they keep all year long rearings of predators.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how difficult it is, but they just keep them like in their greenhouse. So all they need is some climate control. And I mean, they are insect people, entomologists. So they just keep a warm box. They just have to give them food, and they manage.
Yeah.
They just keep these insects alive. So I think
We,
it'd be cheap.
mm-hmm.
It's actually how they breed those stuff.
Uh-huh.
They keep a stock of the
Yeah.
pests to produce those. And so you can do the same in a big greenhouse.
Might be easier to contact some experts than to
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
buy it.
Very interesting.
How much is that big one? Like for the 500 square meters?
How much
Yeah.
he was?
Mhm.
40. And the other one, 20. So, I would like to show you some videos. Before advantage, no development are resistant possible. So, reliable and consistent quality, quick and easy application, safe for humans, plants and fishes, but workforce, costs also. And it's important to have good relationships. So, just have a look on, I expect to have a connection. So for example, whitefly.
Whiteflies form a major threat for many vegetable and ornamental crops. The adults can be recognized by their waxy wings. Whiteflies have well-developed needle-like mouthparts. They extract sap from the underside of plant leaves and secrete honeydew. This honeydew, in turn, is a nutrient source for sooty molds. The female lays her eggs on the underside of young leaves. If she has not yet mated, all the eggs will develop into males. The eggs have a white-yellowish color, are oblong-shaped, and are often deposited in circles. After 1 or 2 days, they become darker in color. The nymphs that emerge from the eggs are known as crawlers. Crawlers move around for several hours before settling on the leaf. They molt into their second stage and become immobile. The nymph starts to feed and begins to produce honeydew. 2 further stages will follow. The nymph now molts into its 4th stage. This is the final stage before becoming an adult. The nymph is flat at first, later changing into an oval, box-shaped pupa with hairs. The adult emerges. Soon after emerging, wax is secreted over the entire body. Adults immediately begin to penetrate the leaf with their mouthparts to feed on plant sap. Check out our YouTube channel and website for more information on agricultural pests.
Just one more. Oh, yeah. For example, this one.
Pests are found in every crop. But what are pests? And how can Koppert help you control them biologically? This animation will show you 2 examples. The first example is the control of aphids. Aphids live for 3 weeks at the most. Within that period, they can give birth to a couple of 100 young aphids. As these young aphids also immediately set to work, they can quickly become a pest that can cause much damage. So when there are too many harmful creatures, it means they are a pest. Damage can be caused because they feed on plant sap, leave waste, or eat into the leaves. The plant will become weak and ill, and will produce less or lower quality fruit. Flowers or ornamental plants will become unfit for sale. What can be done against pests? Koppert produces natural enemies of pests. Enemies as they are also found in nature. If these natural enemies are distributed in the crop, they will render the pest harmless. In this case, the parasitic wasp Aphidius colemanni is used. The so-called mummies of this parasitic wasp are mixed with dosage material and then distributed. Like the aphid, The parasitic wasp measures only 2 millimeters. After the parasitic wasp has emerged from the mummy, it will search for the pest, in this case the aphid, in order to reproduce. Within half a second, she deposits an egg inside the aphid. This is called parasitism. In the course of a few days, the aphid will swell because of the growing parasitic wasp larva inside its body and will then change into a mummy. After about 2 weeks, the fully grown parasitic wasp will make a hole from the inside through which it leaves the mummy. If the wasp is a female, she will look for a male to mate with. Immediately after this, she will start searching for aphids to deposit her eggs in. In this way, the number of aphids will decrease and a biological balance will be reached. The second example is the control of spider mite. This harmful mite feeds on the plant's sap. In doing so, it damages the plant tissue, causing the plant to lose leaf green and sometimes even to die. The spider mite is a tiny insect that can lay over 100 eggs, from which new spider mites develop after a little over a week. But Koppert has found a natural enemy for this pest too, a predatory mite to control spider mite. Phytoseiulus persimilis is its Latin name. It is supplied as adult mite in a shaker bottle. A predatory mite is a real predator because it kills its prey by eating it or by pricking it and sucking it empty. The development of the predatory mite is similar to that of the two-spotted spider mite. Like many beneficials, the predatory mite can only live when its prey is present. The parasitic wasp and the predatory mite are just 2 examples of biological crop protection. Koppert offers many other products for biological control. They are all aimed at a healthy future with growing clean and safe.
See many other examples. It's YouTube and Biocontrol Koppert. We have a lot of video. So before to have a coffee break, I would like to show you this one. Okay. So rapidly, fastly concerning fishes. So how to say in this case how to avoid this? You have some information with Marine on optimal parameters for fishes, I think, this morning. And Pierre Foucault speak about that at the beginning of the week. So concerning pH, concerning ammonia, nitrates, also difference between tilapia and birds, for example. Tilapia is more resistance for different parameters, and there is, some information about electroconductivity. We are always above the hydroponic situation. So this it is very important to understand that when you have a group of fishes into a tank, if you are a good fish farmer, if you have good facilities, if you have good quality of the environment, the fishes, and if you have in the beginning a good strain of fishes, which come from healthy other fish farm, all is okay. You don't have to plan to design veterinary program. It's like us. Why Mohammed sick? Because he's too tired. He changed maybe with food, is tired with flight, with bus, with the courses, so with maybe the friends. So the quality of his environment, like the fish, begins difficult. So you have to research the harmony in your environment. If there is a problem with the quality of the environment, if quality of environment is not only quality of water. In the environment, there is also the work of the man, the catching, the feeding, the lighting, for example. And if the environment decreases in quality, and if this environment is good for the pathogen, fish ability to protect, the fishes begin sick also. So there is an imbalance with its environment, so stress, okay? Different causes of stress, as you know, temperature, pH, ammonia, nitrine, or other toxin, the concentration of dissolved oxygen, the water quality, and so on and so forth. And for each one, you have some symptoms of stress. Okay? For example, if you have a problem with ammonia or oxygen, it's the same symptom. When you have a look on your tanks, you see the fishes with a rapidly breathe. You know? And if you check the oxygen is okay. So maybe it's ammonia. And sometimes it's too late. Because ammonia at high concentrations destroy the gills. Okay? Other symptoms or other signs of disease, also with behavior. If in a few days, poor appetite, lethargy, they don't move, or they move very quickly. If they are gasping at the surface, of course. If they are scraping against objects, so it's very important also. So we have, I have no more time to develop the pathology of fishes. I have many, I can't give you some other slides on the drive, because I like very much this part of pictology. So I know some things from this men. And when you have, for example, this symptom, then you have hole in the body of the fishes. Rapidly you think bacteria disease, or more dangerous, viral disease. But maybe if in the beginning there was no problem of temperature, pH, oxygen, maybe the fish can live normally with the bacteria inside the tank. Maybe he falls sick because in the beginning of the history there is an imbalance in the water. So he's stressed, so he falls sick. Okay, you understand? So difficult to conduce treatment in aquaponic units, so difficult to go back. So it's an advantage, of course, for the decoupled system, but difficult also with antibiotic and survival of biological filter. So I think the most important program is essential prophylaxis. Okay? If you don't need to touch the fishes, don't touch the fishes. You don't have some problems sometimes with my students, young students. They want to put their hand into the water, they want to touch the mouth of tilapia because they are open the mouth. And it's not good for fishes, for the system. So, rigorous monitoring of the global unit, water, fishes, plant treatment process. So as Axel said in Murcia, we have to develop many knowledges. Tu disais à Murcia quand tu avais fait la formation précédente, il fallait être veterinary, hydrobiologiste, agriculture, fish farmer, chimiste, etc. Greenhouser. Of course, it needs many knowledges and some experience, and sometimes it's difficult to be okay for the first year. You need to wait some years to develop all the knowledges, of course. So, now you, the dream teams in action for practical work, so enjoy. Okay.